Today, I'm describing a case report of a child with a congenital hyponatremia due to a genetic dysfunction of the kidneys that caused them to be insensitive to salt-retaining hormones. Basically, this child had a very low level of salt all throughout his life up until he died at 3.5 years old. The interesting thing about this child was that he was addicted to salt. His mind was treating his own genetic disability by giving itself the conscious urge to eat more salt. I'm going to read the case report published in the JAMA Journal. Link will be posted down below. One of the interesting features of this case was the presence of a great craving for salt. After his death, it was learned that from the age of 12 months, the child had eaten salt in large quantities. The following letter, which is one of the most extraordinary documents on behavior on record, was written by the parents in response to a few questions regarding their child's special appetite. At 6 months, we still didn't have any one milk to agree with him for any length of time except mother's milk. At this time, doctor told us to start giving him strained vegetable soup and beef broth. He liked it, but as soon as it touched his tongue, he would gag and bring up everything he had in his stomach unless I made it very thin with beef broth. About a month later, we started giving him strained vegetables, but no matter what it was, he would bring it all up immediately unless it was very thin, practically liquid. At this time, the doctor told us to give him crackers and Zwieback, but as soon as he got any crumbs or little pieces of food on his tongue, he would gag and bring everything else up. I would keep trying him from time to time, thinking that perhaps the next time he would do better. When he was around a year old, he started licking all the salt off the crackers and always asked for more. We didn't say any words at this time, but he had a certain sound for everything and a way of letting us know what he wanted. This was the first time we had noticed his wanting the crackers for salt. Finally, he started chewing the crackers, but he only chewed them until he got all the salt off. Then he would spit them out. He did the same with bacon, but he didn't swallow the pieces. When he was about 16 months old, crackers were the first food he chewed and swallowed. But it was quite a while after that before he would chew up and eat a whole cracker. He would usually just make a mess of them, eating all the salt off. So one evening during supper when he was about 18 months old, we used some salt out of the shaker on some food. He wanted some too. We gave him just a few grains to taste, thinking he wouldn't like it, but he ate it and asked for more. This was the beginning of his showing that he really craved salt, because this one time was all it took for him to learn what was in the shaker. For a few days after that, when I would feed him his dinner alone at noon, he would keep crying for something that wasn't on the table and always pointed to the cupboard. I didn't think of the salt, so I held him in front of the cupboard to see what he wanted. He picked out the salt at once, and in order to see what he would do with it, I let him have it. He poured some out and ate it by dipping his fingers in it. After this, he wouldn't eat any food at all without having the salt, too. I would purposely let it off the table and even hide it from him until I could ask the doctor about it, for it seemed to us like he had a terrible lot of plain salt. At 18 months, he was starting to say a few words, and salt was among the first ones. We had found that practically everything he liked real well was salty, such as crackers, pretzels, potato chips, olives, pickles, fresh fish, salt mackerel, crisp bacon, and most foods and vegetables if I added more salt. We never tried to force him to eat a food. We have measured it now and would say that he ate between 3/4 to 1 teaspoon of plain table salt a day, in addition to all his foods being saltier than ours. Doctor speaking. There can be little doubt then that with his increased salt craving, the 3-year-old boy with deficient adrenal cortical tissue made an effort to maintain a normal internal salt balance. Apparently he started as early as 11 months after birth. During the 2.5 years previous to his entrance to the hospital, he must have kept himself alive by eating large amounts of salt. In the hospital, he was not given free access to salt, but was given the regular ward diet, which contains a normal amount of salt, and, as a result, died suddenly. I don't know, man, it seems like the hospital killed him. Maybe they should have let him have salt, I don't know. What's interesting though is that his brain was treating its own disease by making him crave more salt, literally keeping him alive for 2.5 extra years. Thanks for watching. Bye everybody.
I think this is like George Orwell's book, 1984.